Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today I want to talk about how I got my first ever commission. So just last month, someone finally commissioned me to draw some characters for them, and I was so happy because one thing about me is that I've actually been online posting my digital art for about 9 years now. So it was really discouraging to never see that people wanted to commission me, but I'm so glad it finally happened. I found them on DeviantArt. I haven't been too consistent on DeviantArt, but recently I decided I would try to give it more of a chance and try to put myself more out there. So I went on a forum on DeviantArt, and there's different forums for finding work on DeviantArt. There's a forum to find work, and there's also a forum for people that can offer work to you. And I went on the offers section, and in that part, I found someone that was looking for someone to do art of two characters that they like from this game. I showed examples of my art as it related to what they wanted, and they actually got back to me and they were interested in working with me, which I thought was really nice. For this commission, it actually took a super long time to complete. Most of my art typically takes about 8 hours or less, but there are some outliers that may take up to like 11 hours at most. But that's the highest amount it's ever been before. This art specifically, it was 2 characters waist up with a background. For the line art alone was 12 hours. Just the line art, 12 hours. And the coloring part, the color detail part, that part took 18 hours. Of course, the total amount of hours was 30 hours that it took me to complete this. And if you're wondering how I kept track, it's because I use Procreate, and in Procreate you can track how long each art takes you. If you're wondering why it took so long, it's because I just wanted the commission to just be perfect for that person commissioning me. I didn't want to skip any steps. I wanted to make sure that each part I paid very close attention to, and that's what took a long time. Because for my own art, I tend to skip some steps for some parts of it. So some art, I may just not draw a background, and for other art, I may do some line art, but not a lot of line art. And, some art is very minimal shading, whereas other art, it's very detailed shading. And for this, I want to make sure it could be as detailed as I could make it, just so I could make sure that the person would be happy with the result. So it was just a lot of second guessing because I didn't want to take any chances. I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of making this drawing. So for the line art, which took 12 hours, I did all the line art on Procreate. I just really like the Procreate brushes that I have for line art, so I thought I'd use that, and I'm really comfortable with the program. If I'm drawing on my iPad, I prefer Procreate above anything else, but if I am drawing on my computer, I will use Fire Alpaca. But for this, I just use Procreate on my iPad for the line art. Now on to the flat colors. I actually took the flat colors and I actually did the flat colors on Medibang on my iPad. So what I did to do this is I saved the Photoshop file on Procreate and I uploaded that file onto Medibang, and that's where I finished the flat colors on Medibang. And then once I did the flat colors, I finally took it back to Procreate. Now, if you're wondering why I did the flat colors on Medibang, it's because Procreate, I feel like, is the worst place, the worst app for doing flat colors. Unless you have really thick cartoon lines, it's going to be a mess. And it's way too tedious to do on Procreate. I can definitely see if I did the flat colors on Procreate, it probably would have took hours, or at least an hour. But on Medibang, I think it took like 10 minutes. And the reason for that is because Procreate, it doesn't have nice tools like Close Gap tool, the Magic Wand tool, which makes filling in flat colors much more simple. You can fill in colors, like if you were to draw a circle, a completed circle, you could drag and drop the color into it, but unless you have really thick line art that's always connecting, it's not gonna be your best bet because you have to just manually outline everything and then fill the color. So yeah, that's why I took it to Medibang, because I could just magic wand it and fill in the color, close gap, and everything would be great. So from that, I went back to Procreate because that's what I prefer more for more details. And I just shaded the art, I did the details, and this part, of course, was what took 18 hours. If I were to guess what took the longest in this art piece, I would say it's the clothing. I had no idea what to do for the clothing because I'm still learning how to draw clothing folds, so yeah, it was really difficult for me. Now, I want to talk about some setbacks and difficulties for this drawing, for this commission that I have. And one of them is that there weren't a lot of useful reference pictures for this. So for the characters, the client wanted me to do 2 characters from the game Grand Summoners. And the characters were Vox and Berwick, if I'm saying their name right. Those were the characters, and though there are good references of Berwick, there wasn't a lot of good references for Vox, the one with blue hair. And so that's why it was so difficult to actually do his outfit decently, but I'm really happy with how it came out in the end. Another drawback is that I'm really not good with color theory. I am trying to learn it, but right now it's still something that I'm really working on and I'm not too good at it. So knowing how to make colors come together nicely when there's so many different kinds of colors is pretty difficult for me. And I feel like that's something that made this take a long time because I was constantly trying to find colors to suit one another that wouldn't make the piece look strange. Because, for instance, Berwick's red robe-like thing and Vox's blue hair, I felt like I wouldn't know how to make that look decent, how to make those 2 colors look decent together, but I think I eventually got the hang of it somewhere down the line. And another drawback is that I'm actually very new to drawing guys. Drawing men isn't something that I've done all the time, isn't something that I'm really familiar with at all. In fact, I recently just started drawing guys in like 2020. That's the first time I uploaded art. Maybe you can say I started in 2019, somewhere around that time, just practicing. But the time that I actually uploaded my first male piece was in 2020. So I've only had just about a year of drawing guys. So I did not think that my first commission would be to draw guys. I actually thought it would probably be women because that's just always been what I've been drawing and where I'm most comfortable with, especially because I really like giving my characters highlight, but I struggle with how to do that and still allow the masculine characters to remain very masculine. So yeah, but other than that, I think I've came really far in drawing guys. I really love that my first piece was actually a boy love art, a boy love piece, because I actually read boy love as well. I read all kinds of manga, but I do read boy love. So yeah, I thought it was nice that my first piece was gonna be a boy love pair. And yeah, they're really cute together. So I really liked how it came out, especially since I'm still getting used to drawing guys. One of another difficult areas about this piece was the hair, because I don't have a set way of how to draw hair. I kind of just wing it each time I draw a character if they have straight hair. But mostly I prefer to draw characters with curly hair. That's just my comfort spot, and yeah, I love drawing curly hair, so I have no idea how to draw straight hair. I tried my best with the straight hair, and I really like how it came out. I took a lot of time on their hair, specifically Vox's hair, because hair that's spiky is always more challenging for me. And one last setback or difficulty is the layer limit. For the canvas size that I have, I use the screen size canvas, and that's just when it automatically gives you a canvas the same size as your own screen for your tablet. And I used that option, and I think I got about 40 max layers, about 42 layers. And the drawback is I had to merge down a lot of layers, because for me, I like every layer, I like every detail in an art piece to have its own layer. I just don't like everything being in one layer, because I feel like when everything has its own layer, it's easier to go back and edit it. Another drawback that I didn't even think of is that doing this piece had me so stressed out, and I couldn't help think, oh my god, what if they don't like it? How am I gonna make sure that they like it? So sometimes I was even like, you know what, Jessica, just contact them, refund their money, and tell them you can't do it because this isn't gonna turn out good. It's not going well. And this was at the line art part, because I have a rule that if the line art takes more than 2 hours, I throw away the painting and I just start over again. And for this line art to take 9 hours, yeah, I did not have high hopes that this drawing was gonna go anywhere. I knew that the line art looked good, but I didn't really think that the rest of the piece would come together well. And another thing I'd wanted to talk about is that for the background of this drawing, I actually used photo bashing as a technique, which is where you use some photos in your art piece and you draw over them and you kind of make them work with the piece that you're doing. And for those wondering, no, photo bashing is not cheating and it's not dishonest. The thing about photo bashing, well, when you're doing it how you should be doing it, you're using copyright-free images, or at least images that you purchased the copyright for. And I just used a cloud photo, and I went over the cloud photo by drawing in my own details just to make it look how I wanted it to look. But photo bashing definitely helped me get a good base for how I wanted the background to roughly look. If anything, photo bashing can kind of be almost like a sketch, if you will, the sketching phase. But you can go over that and actually detail it and make it your own. And that's what I did for this, because I felt like the art deserved a really detailed background, and I wanted to think about how I can do that justice. So yeah, that's why I went to photo bashing. And my overall thoughts, my final thoughts are just, I really love how it came out. I'm so glad I stuck to this painting to the end, because I think it came out awesome. And if there's one thing I really love to do is I love contributing fan art to different fandoms that don't have a lot of fan art for them. To close off this video, I'm just really happy to finally have earned my first commission, and I'm so glad this client has trusted me to work on this illustration for them. It has been so fun to complete. Even though it took 30 hours and it was kind of stressful at times, I still really liked the way it came out in the end. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!